Hey yo, it's your girl Kato, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Carly. I'm extremely excited for this episode because, well, it's finally being filmed. There are countless episodes I wish I had a camera rolling for you guys to not only see my passion, but the emotion that I feel when I talk about certain topics. And now we finally have that ability. If you are still listening to me through your car, I just want to thank you for sticking with me this long. And I am really excited for this new chapter of Coffee with Carly. Today, I'm talking about growth mindset and the changes that we need to make to evolve into having a growth mindset instead of these self-limiting beliefs that all of us have and were honestly formed to have. I know that most of us, when it becomes January 1st, we want to become this brand new person. We want to implement a gym routine, healthy habits, and roll it out. And what happens is we sometimes aim too high and we discourage ourselves and we drop out altogether by February and we lose it all. It just is like butter through our hands. I want to talk about this now in the month of October so we can start making habits and changes little by little without them being overwhelming and terrifying. And then on the first, you do whatever you want with it. But little habits that we can make daily that can stop us from having these limiting beliefs and just changing this self-sabotage procrastination mindset that all of us have, which are honestly just survival methods, to be honest. The first thing I want to talk about is most of us feeling fear and allowing fear to hold us back in very unhealthy ways. I understand that social media can be a very scary world. I am on it a good amount and I do get bad comments. I do get bad DMs. I do have people who have ripped me apart this past week. There is a video I posted where I have a giant bruise on my lip. And at the moment when I took that video, I had told myself I have something to say and I want to say it. The fear in me spoke up and said, don't post this because everybody's going to like laugh and joke and say you have herpes. And, you know, my ego was, no pun intended, going to be bruised. I just knew that what I had to say was important and it was a gamble, but it was also a smart gamble. I knew that the video would either get shared because people were trying to make fun of me and my bruised lip, or the video would get shared because people appreciated the message that was behind that video. Now, I know that there's a lot of people who might not be able to take the punches, but I have rather thick skin. I worked in the car industry for a decent amount of time. And if you think that the internet says mean things, then you've never dealt with an angry customer or finance manager or just other sales associates for that matter in the car world, because it's not healthy. I knew I wasn't going to allow fear to hold me back. I knew that I had something to say, and for whatever reason, my gut said to say it. And I did, and I posted it. And to be honest with you, if I probably started getting slammed by 40, 50 comments saying I had herpes, I might have deleted or archived the video. But I told myself, I'll post it. Who cares? I know that I don't have herpes. I don't need to defend myself. I don't need to defend the world. Just post the video. And I did. And it's one of the most successful videos that I've posted to this day. Yes, I did get the shitty comments, but the shitty comments were far less than most people agreeing with me and receiving my message in a positive manner, which is important for us to constantly remind ourselves. Sometimes we're given this beautiful gift where we have something to say, and there are so many others who can not only relate to it but need to hear it, and we hold ourselves back because we're scared that we don't have our makeup done, our hair isn't perfect, we don't look so cute today, maybe we don't have the right setting, we want it to be so professional. Guys, for how long have I had the podcast and I haven't had it video recorded on camera? And I took that step. We want to hide the stepping stones that we need to take because we just want everybody to think that we're doing it perfect from jump. But it is okay to grow, and it is okay to start somewhere, and you should never let fear tell you otherwise. Which brings me to a second mindset that is limiting us daily, trying to be perfect when perfect does not exist. It just doesn't exist. I've had to restart this podcast 4 or 5 times because my intro just wasn't correct. And then I just decided I'm going to roll with the punches. I'll try to edit it out later. And it is what it is, guys. We want things to just be the best of the best. I'm trying my best not to say the words like, and, but it's going to happen. I'll edit it out, I'll figure it out, and then I will grow, and it's okay. I promise it's okay. Put your content out there. Stop creating reels and saving them as drafts. Trying is super fucking cool. We are so scared for people to comment and make fun of us and tell us how stupid we look, or tell us that our podcast is bootleg, or whatever the case may be. We're trying to have these perfect things. Trying is cool. You shouldn't allow others to have that gorilla grip that suffocates you and puts you down, or even in your own mind of saying this isn't good enough, when you are just putting one step forward into the right direction. And that's also coincides with what I was trying to say in the beginning, where we overwhelm ourselves with these goals that are sky high, and we fail and we drop out because we've overwhelmed ourselves with no actual direction. And we stopped remembering that trying altogether is what's important. Just getting started. Another limiting characteristic trait that we do that really holds us back in life is not writing down the person that we want to become. Most of us in our day-to-day lives, we are focused on a dollar amount, an income that'll make us feel happy. Well, we're also getting out of high school and trying to talk ourselves into what college classes we need to take to have this career level when we get out that's going to give us 6 figures. When what we really need to do is focus on the things in life that makes us happy, writing those down, seeing what gives us life, what gives us joy and fulfillment on our day-to-day lives, and then finding a career that revolves around that. So not only can we feel fulfilled and excited, but we can also be serving our purpose here on this earth. Once you write down who you want to become, write down the characteristic traits of this person. What does their bank accounts look like? What do their day-to-day hobbies? What is their activity? What is their schedules? What does any of that look like for this person that you see yourself becoming? What's funny is you'll notice as you're writing down this person that you want to become and their characteristics and their traits and everything they do, you'll notice how different you are from that person. And what we need to do is make small changes and slowly start adapting the characteristics that this person has. If this person gets up every day and they eat egg whites and tomato slices and work out at 6 o'clock in the morning, then start setting your alarm clock for 7 a.m. if you wake up at 8, and little by little start evolving into the person that you want to become. Taking things one step out of a time will allow this to be a more peaceful process and allow you to also stay true to yourself. There's going to be times where you realize the person that you're evolving into might not be exactly what you thought and you want to make adjustments. Make those adjustments. Again, don't allow fear of, oh, what are these people going to think of me when I switch tracks? Or I told everybody I was going to do this and now I don't want to anymore. I decided I want to take this career path. But be flexible with yourself, which also ties in with what I just said about perfection. Nothing is perfect. Most of life is trial and error. Any successful business person I speak to is doing the same thing. Everyone's just throwing shit against a wall and hoping it sticks. And the more successful that you become, you start throwing shit a little more calculated and hoping it sticks, but it's more or less the same thing, just a way more organized version of it. And you can afford people to pick up the pieces of shit that don't stick. And then I would say one of the worst that we can do to ourselves is carry around stress that not only doesn't have anything to do with us or our lives, but also is insignificant stress. I am the absolute worst at this. Absolute worst. If I speak to a friend who's having a bad day, I have a bad day. And that's just because I'm a very empathetic human, and I also carry weight of the people I love, and it's for no reason at all because I'm not responsible for carrying their weight. I would say in a sense I have some responsibility to be there for them as a friend who's going through these things, but then I don't need to carry the heaviness of it all. We have a bad day at work and we bring that stress and chaos of work home with us, not only just for us to stress out about, but we make the rest of our family suffer with us. You realize that quote that's so true, which is when you stress, you put yourself through the worry twice because you're worrying about it right now and then you're worrying about when it's going to happen. We have to learn to let go, and we have to let go in a very healthy way, which a lot of that comes from acceptance and just knowing that maybe there's not anything that can be done currently in this moment, but it will either work itself out or it will fall apart, and we will have to take this as a learning experience, and it is what it is. You have to continue with life and just allow that issue to slowly solve or not solve itself and accept that it will be a learning experience. I just recently went through this, but the truth of the matter is all that crying, all that staying up late, it did absolutely nothing for me. This was a learning experience that I needed to calmly tell myself, what do I need to do so this doesn't happen again? Who do I need to evolve into? What type of mindset do I need to have so that I don't slip up like I just did ever again? And it would have been more helpful and constructive for me to dissect that rather than lose sleep, cry, and beat myself up every single day over this. I have trouble with is just accepting, but we're learning and we're growing every day because why? No one is perfect, guys. Another trait that's the worst of the worst is wanting to be healthy and then constantly choosing pleasure and convenience over health. There have been countless studies of how food that we eat directly relates to the amount of depression, anxiety, and stress a person carries in their life. There are foods that actually boost moods, and this is real science facts that you guys can look up. I promise you, I highly suggest working with a dietitian. Focusing on eating right is not something that's done overnight. You will find yourself going to the fridge at 2:00 in the morning and getting a tiramisu like I did the other night and eating the whole thing in your bed like I did the other night. And I am not going to beat myself up for things like that. Although it was not the right path for me to take, this is why I'm making this episode, for us to go through this journey together and remind ourselves that we are human. And this is a slow process of becoming and adapting into the person that we want to be, which is not something that's going to happen overnight. And by the way, once you finally reach the level of the person that you've put in your head you want to become, you meet other people who are more successful and even greater than you ever originally thought you could meet. And then your level and mindset of who you want to become will evolve into something even greater. So there is no limit. Don't ever limit yourself on how great you can be, on how successful your business could be, on how far you can go. We do that a lot. We tell ourselves where our roof is, where's that ceiling. Allow yourself to be and grow as many times as you want. Once you stop growing and learning, that's when you stop living. So always have room for adaptation. Now, I don't know how many of you do this, but this is one I caught myself doing. And every time I give you guys examples, they're examples about me because I like to share these things with you guys so that you know that you can relate to someone and that I'm going through the same shit just like you. I know that on social media, it kind of seems like everything is perfect and dandy. And although the last couple of weeks it has been, it's taken a lot of breaking down the person that I was, who I wanted to become, and doing a lot that I'm talking about right now, which is why this episode was so important to me to create so that we could learn from one another. And everything that I read or look up, I like to share with you guys because it's information that I wish I had. But one thing I found myself doing was leaning too heavily on the opinions of others. Every move I made, I felt this inner need to pick up the phone and call someone and run that past them. And I needed the sense of validation, or I wouldn't go through with it, even if my gut told me to, which is really, really wrong. When you constantly are leaning on other people's beliefs and opinions, you start to lose track of your own voice and who you are. You also lose sight of listening to your gut. What does your gut even sound like? Check yourself and ask yourself, am I asking for this person's opinion because I really don't know the answer, or because I feel like I need the validation? And then remind yourself that it's okay to make mistakes. So we as humans will pay attention to cause and effect. And when we go through an experience and it's a bad one, the effect is we will put it in the back of our head to not do it again, right? For example, when you're a kid and you walk over and you touch the stove and it's super hot, it's embedded in your head that I'm not going to do that again because I burned myself, cause and effect. But if we keep asking other people, why can't we touch the stove? And they say, because the stove is hot, we won't really ever register the pain that is associated with the stove. There might even be a sense of you that's like, I kind of want to touch the stove now. How hot is this bitch? Which is normal. And that's why I'm saying you have to dissect yourself and ask, why do I need this opinion of this person? Is it to try and protect myself? Is it because of fear of failure? Is it because I genuinely don't know and need guidance? Asking for someone's guidance is completely different than constantly relying on people to approve of every step that you make. That's what I guess I'm trying to say with this. In looking for advice and opinion, by the way, we go to our families. And I just want to say this because my last episode, I spoke about fuck family, and I still genuinely feel that same energy. But although I said that, I want to be very clear that a lot of you out there have very loving and caring parents and family members. It's important to know that when they are directing you away from a path that seems a little too risky, a lot of times it's just done out of love. It's not that your mother doesn't believe in you, it's that she doesn't understand what the fucking NFT is. Some of you just need to take time to sit down and explain to your parents that you're needing that validation from, or that you want them to understand the path you're on, showing them your roadmap. Okay. And this is also great because, listen, your parents, when they're scared, they're going to pick apart, or your family, or your cousin, brother, sister, uncle, whoever, they're going to pick apart your plan. And this isn't because they're saying you don't know what you're doing or for you to get defensive. Pay attention to whatever questions your family is trying to ask you. Pay attention to them challenging your roadmap of success. Ask yourselves, do you have the answers to these questions? Because if you don't, you can surely go find them. You can surely make sure that those little roadblocks you have are open doorways next time. People who love you are never going to want to see you losing money. They're never going to want to see your hopes and dreams crushed in front of you. And to be honest, it's probably going to happen. Or there's a huge chance that you're going to fuck up at some point. And the goal when someone is straying you away from that isn't because they don't want you to succeed. It's because they don't want you to go through the hardship that it takes to get to that successful spot in life. People just want to avoid you hitting a bunch of potholes along the way to success. And it's much easier just to tell you, go to school and get a job that pays 6 figures, which, by the way, in this day and age, it is much easier to have a business that makes 6 figures than to go out and get a job that will give you 6 figures. And that is a huge advantage that we have currently, and one that so many people look past. Yes, the road to success is not easy, and it's not a one-way street. It's left, right, up, down, over hills, and through the forests, guys. It's not fucking easy. I remember, I don't know how many of you have been sticking with me and for how long, but Casa Carly used to be a storefront, and I also used to sell clothes and keychains. And I closed my storefront, and I realized it wasn't making me any money. It was actually bleeding me out. And even when you put it in your head where success is, I mean, if you asked me when I first started Casa Carly what my idea of success is, I would say it's where I currently am right now. But if you ask me about it now, I've got a long way to go. This shit doesn't stop. Checking yourself, checking your mindset, checking your habits and what you're doing on the daily to get to this place of success or peace. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, maybe you're searching for peace or just stability, but giving yourself these successful qualities and traits. That's what we need to work on the most. I know I always suggest BetterHelp, and I do it for a reason, because I think it's important for all of us to work with our mindset, not against our mindset. And that is a huge part of having a growth outlook on everything, a growing outlook on everything around you, right? And instead of limiting ourselves and instead of talking down on ourselves, I want all of us to be able to understand why we feel the way we feel. When these negative thoughts enter our head, I don't want you guys to say, I'm so stupid. Why do I always say things like this? Or, oh, no, that's a negative mindset. Let me stray away from that. No, feel those emotions. I don't think you should sit with them too long, but I do think you should digest and understand fully where those emotions come from. And it's much easier to do when you have a professional with you, where you can say, last week I had this really scary thought and I knew that it was a bad one. And I told myself that this was okay to feel the way that I feel. And learning to work through these emotions and breaking down, maybe because it was when you were a child, you had a scary incident that happened. Maybe you're just limiting yourself because you're pushing yourself back to what you think you deserve, which is turmoil and chaos, because that's what you were raised on. But when you understand where these feelings and fears stem from, and you understand your character as a whole, which our character is shaped within the first 7 years of life, I believe. For some of us, that wasn't such a great 7 years. You understand how these two work together so well, you can work with yourself, work with the person that you are. You are beautiful, you are whole, you are enough, you deserve nice, wonderful things, you deserve to be successful, you deserve stability and wealth, financial stability. It is not selfish, it is not ungrateful to ask for financial stability. You deserve these things. Be grateful of the person that you currently are. Don't work against yourself. Focus on changing and becoming a healthier version of you, but don't throw away who you used to be, and don't push away who you are or used to be. Just learn to make the changes to become who you want to be, and constantly focusing on a growth mindset. You can go and do anything in this world as long as you are very specific with your wants when they're in your head, and you are following through on your traits and constantly checking yourself mentally to make sure that you can reach the level that you're supposed to be at. I thank you guys for sticking with me on this beautiful journey that I've been calling Coffee with Carly. I hope you have a wonderful day today. I will find a cooler way to end these podcasts pretty soon, because I feel like I should have some music, and then maybe like me sipping coffee or something. But for now, I will just tell you guys bye. And then I'm very excited for the next episode, because I have a special guest coming on that I cannot wait for you guys to meet. As always, thank you guys for joining me this morning with your cup of coffee and focusing on self-improvement. And just God bless us all. May we constantly evolve. May we constantly grow and change and adapt. Amen. I think I said everything this